Good morning. Hadn't made any videos in a while. I've been kind of convincing myself and talking myself out of getting work done on the business when I need to get stuff done. It's easy to do. That's one thing I might make a video of at some point, and talk about self-motivation and some things like that about keeping busy and focused on getting things done. I got a lot of stuff to do that sometimes I'm overwhelmed by how much I have to do to get this thing going and get things do. When there's so much to do around, sometimes I get focused on doing things that aren't productive and don't move things forward and getting the farm done. But some of the things I'd like to do, I'll show you as I'm going. Just got up here. We had a lot of rain last night up here at the farm. We got some good rain down in Albany for the past couple of days. That's one reason I haven't been back up here since Friday. In the meantime, for the past couple of weeks, all I've been doing really is working on mowing grass, doing some harrowing. I'll show you where I've done some harrowing, not heroin, but harrowing, cutting the weeds down and stuff like that, getting some stuff ready to go so I can start planting some more wildflowers. I want to get a bigger plot going and try to focus a little bit more about that and work towards moving and getting the bee boxes going, and that's just another thing we have to do. So let's start with some of the things. I'm doing so far this is working up here around the old syrup mill. That's my big pecan tree that's been here for a couple hundred years. So the old syrup mill up here is one of those things we're trying to get cleaned up. But this tree, when it drops limbs, as you can see, this tree, the limbs are about as big as trees themselves. This tree is huge, and so this actual canopy and cover and everything was built probably around 75, something like that. My uncle built this when we were doing cane syrup back in the day when Granddaddy was growing cane and we were getting syrup. The old mill here, I don't know what happened to the actual syrup kettle here. This is the first one we had when I was about 10 or 11 years old. We started making syrup in the 70s, and this was the first pit that we had in the syrup mill and all that kind of stuff. And over there on the other side, kind of close to where that pear tree is over there, but on the other side of those bricks over there is where we actually had the grinder, the cane grinder that set up. And when I first came, we first started doing it, we were using an actual mule to turn the grinder and stuff like that, and we progressed on to do different things. So Granddaddy eventually, thought it was going to be better, and he came in and put in an evaporator, which didn't actually do the job. This was a couple years later, maybe about 5 years later, and we wound up going back to cooking in the kettle later on. But of course, I think sometime probably in the early 80s is when we stopped making cane syrup. It was really good cane syrup. Granddaddy knew exactly what he was doing. Had a lot of help. We'd have as many as 60 and 80 people. Cars would be parked up from here over there to the road, over that way over there, and lined up in here. And we'd be waiting for the syrup to come off. And my grandmother always having hot biscuits coming out. I don't care if it was 2 o'clock in the morning, she had some hot buttered biscuits ready to go whenever syrup's coming on. So in the meantime, because all this stuff has gotten caved in things, I'm working on cleaning all this out, where the past couple of years people have been piling a bunch of junk lumber and stuff and getting a bunch of rotten lumber out. I burned a bunch of things already that was up in here about 3 weeks ago when I was working. And then my next goal is to get these old lawnmowers up under here. In the meantime, this one right here is supposed to be good. I just need to get it to the shop and get it worked on. Of course, you know how that is with a piece of green equipment. You're going to pay more than you wanted to pay to get it worked on. This other one here is junk, but I got somebody who wants to part it out. But I want to get those moved up under the shelter over here. I got to get those bricks cleaned up right there. I'm going to make me a rack over here along the wall right here and store all this lumber on to get all that off the ground, and so I can make myself some room to work up under here. I want to, start getting me a place where I can, I've been laying out in the yard to try to work on the lawnmower and the tractor and things like that. The barn is over there where the tractor is over there, but I get all these bricks up, all this other stuff in here I got to get up. And right now I've been cleaning up all that Virginia creeper that was started to grow back, and I'm going to do some spraying and things like that too when it come up like that. And so what I do have here also is this old propane tank that I want to turn into obviously a smoker, and that to me seem to have a natural affinity towards each other. We're going to figure that out one of these days. So one of the other things I'm up here to do today is, this is my blueberries, and so I got everything out that I could get. Once I got everything covered up to keep the birds and the deer out of them, then but now I've got to come in, take down all of this tomato cages, basically what these were, big tomato cages with all the stuff. I got to get all this up, and then I've got to come in here in between and get the grass mowed up and all that kind of stuff. And then I want to get a big program going this summer where I'm gonna get pine bark put all around all of these, and get them all settled down, get them working on getting me some sulfur and some other things in there, so we can get the pH more in line with what the blueberries want. But as we'll see over the summer, once we get these cleaned up and they start to grow throughout the summer, we'll come in, and the bigger ones back there, we'll prune those up, get them ready to do. They're kind of top heavy right now. We'll get them ready for the next year. I didn't do any pruning last year, as I've said in this previous video, but we'll hopefully get everything. These little ones actually produced, some of them, as much as maybe a cup or half a cup or more, even after the deer had taken care of what they thought that they needed for the spring, or whenever they started turning and getting, and of course they ate all that. Now this is where I was talking about just a minute ago, where I had been harrowing, you know, not plowing, but similar to that. If you're, for those who are not familiar with that, that's just a top thing, cutting the soil, cutting the vegetation that was in here, stuff. Now if you can see the difference in the cut back there, this one area I had cut multiple times with the harrow, and over the past couple of months, and I tried to put some zinnias in here and some marigolds, and only a few came up. So I came back and it got run over with, basically with sedge grass and some other things, just took it over. And so I came in ready to start cutting it, but then I decided to go ahead and cut basically all of the rest of everything. That half over there, I have not in 4 years have not done anything with. That was my desire, to try to not do anything with that over there, and see how nature provided anything for bees and things like that, and cover for quail or rabbits or any of those other things. This area over here, as I've shown in videos from some different stuff from the past, I had harrowed and burned off and things like that, and gotten that too. I'm walking down this way. I got to get this one cage that's down here, but I'm going to see. I ran over a I ran over a bumblebee nest when I was harrowing on it. See, this is what I was doing. Essentially, you can see where we're cutting all this organic material, which was briars, blackberries. You see in here we got the briars and the blackberry type of stuff, all these kinds of different grasses that were in here. You go through one time, it cuts it and lays it down one direction, you go in the next direction, and it comes back and cuts all that organic material. Now none of this has ever been sprayed. There's been no kind of chemicals put on anywhere around. The only time I've ever sprayed anything around here is on specific things that I'm trying to target to get rid of. There's a right there. I about stepped on it, didn't I? I don't want to mess with it. They got one right here. They'll defend that thing. I sure did. Ooh, about stepped on it. Let's see where it is. Okay, I see them spinning around in here. So let's see. It's over. I see some bumblebees over there, in that area over there. So somewhere right in there is a bumblebee nest, and they're very timid. I see them all. They're crawling all around over there. They're very timid, but the females will bite you if they feel like they're threatened. So I need to put me a marker out here where those are. Those will go away during the winter, because they're an annual bee, and then we'll worry about that later on. So I want to come in here and get up all these volunteers. So lots of pecan type of things in here. Another pecan. We got to get up. These things have already rooted down in there. We got to get down in there and get those up. There's several maple sweet gums, things like that, that get the seeds dropped and all. as you see, there's a sweet gum. A couple things too you run into while you're out here and you're mowing all this stuff. You run up into where those guinea wasps, those little yellow wasps that love to sting and bite, and they'll attack you from nowhere, will build nests up under some of these leaves right here out in the open like that. So that's about what we got so far and what I want to do, and that takes care of all of this. It's about I'd have to measure it and tell you. It could be 1.5 acres to 2 acres, this whole area right here. I'll look back on Google Maps and see what it is. And that's what we got going on down there. I got a big old burn pile. I see that down there. I want to get that taken care of too. But so we got some more work to do. What I'm trying to do is get this up here taken care of so I can get these pollinator type flowers, all of these things put in. I'm going to get a mix from Haas. Anybody knows Haas? They're right down the road from us here. And I want to get this mix. It's about 10 different seeds in this mix and get them in the ground, and they'll be blooming by October. So we'll have hopefully some late fall blooms back in here and get the bees something to eat and the birds. All right, let's get this cage back up there, and we'll get moving on some other stuff, and I'll make another video. Look at there, worked up a sweat already walking down here trying to drag this thing back up there. Try to be back and be better about making some videos and having some content and things for you to look at and watch the progress we make. So I'm excited about people making comments and getting involved, things like that too. So I appreciate that. It makes me feel good to know that you're interested in what we have going on, and that y'all want to see it get better and us to be profitable maybe one day. All right, thank you.